Let's start off, though, at Belle Vernon. They went 10-2 last year, 6-1 in conference. Those two losses coming both to TJ, one during the regular season and one at Heinz Field. Coach Matt Humbert is coming back with 3 starters on offense, 5 on defense, but almost all of their starters in the trenches return. College players like Tom Kovac, Anthony Evans, Dakota Marion, and then one of the most, I think, underrated players in this whole conference is Cole Waitman on the outside in kind of a defensive end linebacker role. This is a really strong defensive and offensive line, but as far as weapons go, it's Devin Whitlock and a lot of unprovens. Is this going to be a rebuilding year for the Leopards, losing all of that talent as far as weapons go, or are they going to try and, I mean, they're already favored to make the playoffs, but is this going to be kind of a weaker season for Belle Vernon?
Weaker, no. I think last year's team, how I put it this way in this conference, I think last year's team had the better chance at upending TJ. That's how I'll put it this year. But no, I still think this is going to be an impressive year for Belle Vernon. They don't return a lot weapon-wise, and even offensive line-wise. I mean, they return both tackles, so that's huge. Whoever the new quarterback is, which rumor has it that we might see stud athlete Devin Whitlock there, which he does have some quarterback experience. At the 1A level, of course, he was played his freshman season at Monessen, where I actually played against him. I was a senior. Very impressive there. But that's the rumors we hear. But I like the defensive side of the ball. They return a lot on those front 4. They return 3 of those guys, so that's huge. And they're big guys too. These guys are, they're going to be playing at the next level. I really like what that team returns on the defensive side. But I don't think that this is a rebuilding year by any means. I think Belle Vernon is right where they normally are, and that's second place in this conference. And I think that's where they'll finish up this year. I just don't see them. I see them right around there. I like the matchup with McKeesport. I forgot for a second that McKeesport moved down. So they're going to be right there. They're definitely a playoff team in this conference. There's no doubt about that. But, they're going to be fighting now for second place in this conference, which is big now because that game's going to decide a home game in the first round of playoffs. That's a big disadvantage for teams coming in, especially playing on that unique gold turf, the beach, the locals in Belle Vernon call it. The gold turf. That'll be huge for Belle Vernon to try to get that second seed and get a home game.
Yeah, and just to go off of some of the guys coming back, you mentioned Devin Whitlock. Him at quarterback is going to be crucial for them if he does end up starting at quarterback because they got 2 new running backs coming in that are taking fresh snaps now. How important is he going to be, not just, in the passing game, but in the running game and to be able to continue some continuity in offense there?
Yeah, I mean, his speed is just, it's very, very unmatched, in this conference. He's got afterburners. And, just from my point of view, I played against him. He was a freshman. The arm strength wasn't there then. He was more of an option quarterback. They ran a lot of misdirection with him, a lot of options with him. And the reason I say that about the arm strength, I mean, they had set packages where they would bring another quarterback in for passing plays. So, that's definitely going to be needed to work on. They've been fortunate enough to have, Logan Hartman the past 2 to 3 years, really have him. He's been an excellent quarterback for Belle Vernon. They like to air it out, and that's going to be part of their offense this year too, I assume. If Whitlock is at wide receiver, or if he's not or if he's a quarterback, Belle Vernon's not going to be one dimensional and just run the ball. They historically under Humbert, like to throw the ball for sure. And so he'll need to show that part of his game if that is in fact who is going to be a quarterback. But I'm sure they're definitely going to use him as much as they can, though. He's definitely going to get a lot of touches. He's going to rack up a lot of all-purpose yards, if he's not a quarterback. So it's definitely going to be Interesting to see where they use Devin Whitlock, whether it's a quarterback, whether it's a wide receiver, because he's one of these kids you can just do so much with, and he's really a special talent.
And then just looking at the first game of the year is probably going to be their most important game. You mentioned they're going to be battling McKeesport, most likely for the second place spot in the division. And they play them week 1, September 11th at McKeesport. I think if Belle Vernon was going into that game without all the experience in the trenches, I'd favor McKeesport, but having all those guys on the defensive line is just going to help them put pressure on a new type of offense that they're facing. How important is that going to be for them in this game?
Yeah, that's going to be huge for Belle Vernon, especially facing that new offense. They've never seen this type of offense, at least to this caliber. The McKeesport's run, the triple option is very difficult. So to have that experience back, especially up front on the defensive line that they do, that's going to be huge for them. McKeesport's got a couple Division I guys as well. It's like I said, that's going to be a huge game. That game's going to decide most likely, who's going to get a home game and who's going to be on the road the first weekend in 4A for the playoffs. So that game has a lot on the line early on in the season, and I think that's why I honestly would favor McKeesport, being it's the first game. Teams didn't start heat act till last week, so this is really, they got scrimmages this weekend, so I probably would favor McKeesport early on, because of the triple option, how hard it is. But Belle Vernon does have the veterans up front that will be crucial in that game, and definitely if Belle Vernon pulls off the win, it's definitely going to be in part thanks to those 3 up front returning.
Yeah, and McKeesport is certainly returning a lot in the trenches as well, which is going to make that game even more interesting.